Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are, or good evening. I've said that already. Hey, welcome to another Captivate live stream. I'm a little bit off center here. Let me just sort that out. There we go. Welcome to another Captivate live stream in the summer live stream series. I'm your regular raconteur host, guide, if you like, Danny. And we'll go through the normal, intros, etc. Make sure everybody's jumped in from who's jumped on a live stream and see who's in the comments. You'll notice that it's a little bit different look today. I had a bit of a problem with my other webcam, etc. So it's a little bit different setup today. So I apologize if it's a little bit wonky, but hopefully it's not too bad. But we'll get started normally as we do around about 11:06, 11:07, have 4 or 5 minutes just to say hi to everyone. So if you're in the comments, or if you're watching the live stream now, just drop a hello in the comments. Let us know who you are, where you're from, about your podcast, etc., how your summer's going, all that good stuff. Let me just see if I can get this this camera set a little bit better. Sorry, just here we go. Have a look at this, and then bring that across. Nope, other way. So this is the cool stuff we do in live streams, doing fixes on the go. But I think that's good. Let's go with that. That's fine. So let us know who you are. Drop a hello in the comments, and we'll just like I say, we'll have 3-4 minutes just getting to see who's in the stream today, and then we'll get started on today's live stream, which is all about the cool Captivate AI assistant that can really help you with your production side and coming up with ideas for episodes, guests, etc. Really cool feature. So excited to go through that with you. Who we got in today? So let's just have a look who we've got. Got Chris from Cast Ahead. How you doing, Chris? Good to see you here, bud. Hope your summer's going well. Mid-July, we're halfway through summer already, I feel. We're halfway through this live stream series, actually. This is officially, I think, live stream 7, so we're just over the halfway mark now, so that's kind of cool. So anyway, who else we got in? So good to see you, Chris. Wiz Productions, Daytona Beach, love it. How you doing? You're looking very dapper there. I like that. Is that your official headshot, your bio headshot? I like that a lot. It's very, very professional. I like that a lot. But good to see you from Daytona Beach. What's Chris got? We can still see Boba Fett. Yes, we can. That's important. Like I say, I normally use the Elgato face cam, but I need to sort out lighting in that. I'm not a video podcaster, YouTuber, etc. So I never get it just right. But yeah, the face cam had a brain fart. Don't know what it was doing. So I've switched back to I think it's my old Logitech C920 webcam, actually. Don't have professional gear or anything, so that's why I'm an audio first podcaster. We got Retromade. Awesome. Love retro. Is it Retromade as in TV, video games, media, films, comics, everything, bit of both? Everything. But nice to see you in Denver, Colorado. We were there 2 years ago, I think, at the podcast movement when it was in Denver. Loved it. Really great. Great time. The hotel was a bit out the way. It was one of these Marriott hotels, but Denver itself, loved it when we went downtown. So really great. Tia Nolan, hi, how you doing? Is it now? I'm trying to remember. Is it Tisha? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize, but good to have you here, and good morning to you too. Who else we got? We got Suicide Zen Forgiveness, a homeland accent in Ottawa, Canada. I'm not too well. I am far from you. Let's get it straight. I'm in the same province, Ontario, but I think I'm about a 4-hour drive from you. I'm over in Muskoka. So we can go up towards Huntsville and take the highway, just go all the back highway right over to Ottawa through, I think it's Paris Sound, maybe. But yeah, nation's capital, awesome. Have a few friends over in Ottawa actually as well. So good to see you. Marianne, always great to see you. Hope you're having a great summer so far. And Elaine at the Dark Pollyanna. Alrighty. Hey, nice to meet you, Elaine. Good to see you. We got Rob in the house. Good to see you back, Rob. Hope you had a good week and had a good weekend too. Movies with themes from the 80s and 90s. Awesome. That's my jam, for want of a better phrase. But yeah, 80s and 90s, that's me all the way. So I love that. I'll check that out. And yep, we got Dan in from Philadelphia again. Hi, Dan. Good to see you, bud. Hope you're having a good week so far and you've got a great weekend planned. And Toronto, yes, you're not too far, but are now, obviously, but not too far. We're in the same province. Ontario is a massive province. I always say that when I moved here from the UK, I didn't really realize how big Canada was until I realized if I was in the UK and drove 7 or 8 hours, I could go from the very south of England right to the very north of England, tip to tip on the UK. If I drive 7 or 8 hours here, I can still be in the same province, which is blows my mind. Hey Donna, good to see you running a podcast from a scientific journal that chats with the authors of publications. That sounds pretty cool. Hemisphere Journal. So what's that about? It's scientific, obviously. Is there a focus on that? Is that a dedicated one? Let us know. And Aspiring Psychologist podcast, award win. You should say that. That's a great achievement. Always celebrate the wins if it's awards, milestones, etc. Always celebrate the wins. All right, sorry, just taking a little sip of water there. Hematology. Gotta get my glasses fixed. Hematology research. That is awesome. But I'm glad to have you here, and I hope this live stream is helpful for you. We're gonna, I think we can probably get started now. If anybody else jumps in, we can say hi, obviously. As usual, just a little bit tiny housekeeping. If you have a question, just drop it in the comments below with question at the front of it. And our erstwhile colleague, Ben, who's the head of content here at Captivate, he'll pick it up and we'll go through that in the live stream at the Q&A at the end of the live stream. We'll generally take about 30 minutes or maybe 40, depending on what we go through. For the live stream, we'll pick up the Q&A at the end of it. So drop your question in the comments down below. Just put question at the front and we'll pick that up afterwards. So as I mentioned, I'm Danny Brown. I'm head of podcaster support experience here at Captivate. And we create tools that help you save time on production and grow your podcast, wherever that looks like. So downloads, listeners, brand awareness, monetization, whatever that looks like for you. And as part of that, the features that we release into Captivate are all built to either save you time or help you grow your podcast. And what we're looking at today is our in-house AI assistant, which does a bit of both, to be honest. So let me just bring up my screen and just share that with you now. And I'm just going to switch settings here to make sure I've got the right screen for you. There we go. Okay. So we've got, and I'm going to jump in between podcasts just to show you exactly what it looks like, from features already released. This is the dummy show that I set up for the live stream. So it doesn't have a lot of episodes. It's not got a lot of analytics, etc., obviously, because it is a dummy show that we set up for this live stream. But with the AI assistant, this helps you create transcripts and AI assets. So titles, summaries, show notes, all the cool thing, or show note suggestions, all the cool things you'd expect from a podcast AI tool. But we do have a couple of things that are very Captivate focused, where we don't want to just give you, what everybody else has. We want to give you features that really talk to everything else in your Captivate dashboard and really make sense for you as a podcaster when it comes to saving time on production or growing your podcast. So we'll go through that and show you exactly how to set it up. So if you're an account owner, because you do have to be a paid account owner to use Spark. If you've got team members, you can give them access to use Spark on your episodes, but you would still control whether Spark is enabled on the podcast or not. So if you're a podcast that's got multiple shows, for example, you may only want it enabled on 4 or 5 and not enabled on the others. That's the cool thing with Spark, which is our AI tool. It's all at account level, and then you can enable it on a show per show basis and also assign which team members, if you do have team members, get access to use Spark when creating episodes. So to enable Spark, all you need to do is go up to your account settings. So top right, go to my account and drop down to the Spark AI option. And here, if you're setting it up, you'll see that I've got a whole bunch of hours there. This is a test show, so we've got a bunch of hours there. But generally, when you first come to this screen, you will see, do you want to choose monthly recurring bundles or do you want to do one-off top-ups? So if you've got a monthly plan with us or an annual plan with us and you want to run Spark alongside your invoices, you can do that with monthly recurring bundles. And you can see down here, we do it as 5 hours per month, 10 hours per month, or 20 hours per month. And we basically bill Spark at $1 per hour of transcript. You only get charged for the transcript generation. All the other AI assets are included, in that cost. So it's only the transcript generation. That's a hard cost to Captivate. So that's the only real hard cost that we'll place back when it comes to the cost of the Spark bundles. So you can either choose 5 hours per month, 10 hours per month, or 20 hours per month. And you can see here that will be billed monthly recurring. So every month you'll be charged your normal Captivate billing invoice, your plan invoice, as well as whatever recurring plan or recurring bundle you've got activated with Spark. If you're on the annual plan, we'll just charge you ahead of a time for the year. So if you're on the personal plan, because we do 5 hours per month, we'll do 12 months times 5 hours. So it'll be $60, and that's you got 60 hours worth of Spark for the year. You can also, choose one-off top-ups to top that up if you find you're running out of Spark credits. And here you can also choose between 5, 10, and 20 hours. The cool thing with Spark is the hours roll over, so you don't have to use them within the same month that you purchase them. If you've got a 5-hour bundle and you only use 3.5 hours one month, that other hour and a half will roll over to the next month. So you can continue using it until you're actually finished with the Spark hours. And then you can top up either through your monthly recurring or your one-off top-ups. So as I mentioned, you can do that all from your My Account section. Once you've got it enabled, you would come back to your dashboard and just go to podcast settings. Okay. So once you're in podcast settings, you'll see over here, we have Spark AI settings. So let's just drop over to Spark AI. And this is where you set up your persona. So with Spark, what we're trying to do is learn from your tone of voice, and that's your writing style, not your actual vocal style. Spark isn't used to listen to your voice and train other programs, etc. We're just looking at providing show notes and other AI assets like titles, summaries, etc., based on your writing style. So that could be writing from your existing show notes that you've had before you started using Spark, or if you've got external sites elsewhere. So maybe you've got a blog, maybe you've got a Substack, maybe you've got a LinkedIn newsletter, all that kind of stuff. If you've got a public publication, you can share URLs, up to 5 URLs with Captivate. We'll check the writing style, the tone of writing, etc. Is it conversational? Is it formal? All that cool stuff. And that's the kind of results we'll be looking to provide when it comes to your show notes when generated by Spark. So when you're in Spark AI settings, we give you pre-built personas. You can have simple and fun. And you'll see down here with the persona, as I change it, the settings change a little bit down here. So we've got simple and fun, which is your default persona, keeps things short, simple, with a kind of a fun, uplifting tone, more conversational. In-depth and formal, and you'll see here that switches more to third person, because generally with in-depth and formal, you're more looking at facts or opinion podcasts, etc., where it's our news pieces, like the News Agents, for example, great podcast. So you want to keep it more in-depth and formal and more educational and fact-led and story-led, etc., as opposed to conversational and simple. So because of that, we will swap that to third person. You can choose to take it back to second, which will then take it to custom, and then you can make your own persona. So you can choose, like I say, you've got the pre-built personas that we'll offer you here, but you can also change that up based on your own preference. So let's say you want to go to custom, okay? And then you've got some options here. So you can see here, we give you a little bit of explanation of how the persona works, and whether it's episodes, show notes, etc. We're looking to match the tone and the style of you as a podcaster. So again, this is where you can choose first person. So you can see here, we'll explain it here. First person, second person, third person. Okay. So first person is I, we, second person, you, third person, the host or the name of the podcast host. So for this one, I'm going to leave it in second person, because Chit Chat with Claire and Steve is generally, I'm going to leave it in third person. Chit Chat with Claire and Steve is generally a co-hosted podcast, if this was a real podcast. So I'm going to leave it in third person with the hosts, and it would pop up as Claire and Steve. Now you can see here, there's two options here for the style. You can either match speaker style or use a persona. So if you're going to build the persona here and really adjust it to what you want to test out, see how it matches your style, and then after you create your first AI generation, you can come back and always edit this at any time. But I'm going to use a persona for now. And you can see here, tone, I'm going to choose between formal and informal. So I'm going to go for something just a little bit off the middle here. So a little bit formal. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make it informal. which is more to conversational because it's that kind of show. Humor, I don't want to go silly, sarcastic, playful, so I'm going to go between none and witty, maybe, and leave it there. And again, if you like a little banter between the host, guests, etc., you could choose this to be playful, sarcastic, and just test what the AI generation looks like. And you can keep coming back here and fine tuning it until you get the right persona that matches your style. And then complexity. So, how complex are the show notes? What's the tone of voice? So, again, simple. The closer you put it to simple, it just makes it for easier reading and easier. There's not a lot of large words that you might need to Google, etc. It just makes it really straightforward. Whereas complex gets more into the more, direct tone, where it is more educational, it is more data driven, that kind of thing. Okay. And as I mentioned, you can also analyze up to 5 external links that you have. So it could be your blog, if you've got one, could be a Substack, LinkedIn newsletter. And all you do is you just click the URL and then add the URL here. And what we'll do, Spark will go out, have a look at that, and then look for the tone of voice in your articles, publications, etc., and look to match that on the show notes when creating them for your episode. Okay, but I'm just going to delete that because I'm not going to drag a URL in there at the moment. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can choose whether to have Spark enabled or disabled on this podcast. And then you just save AI settings, and that's your settings set for Spark. Now, if you didn't want to use Persona, we released a new feature, I think maybe in the last month or two, where it actually matches your speaker style. Okay, so what that does is we'll look at your show notes up to the time you enabled Spark. And we'll also look at the existing publications if you add the URLs here. And we'll look to try and match that without you needing to set up a persona setting. Again, if that's not quite what you're looking for, you can always come back in here and put the persona back on. But this is like a new feature that we released. So it might still need a little bit of tweaking. It just really depends on, obviously, what your show notes are like, the external links that you're sharing, etc. But if you find it's not quite what you're looking for, you can just pop back in at any time and use that persona. So I'm going to leave the persona here that I've got previously, and I'm just going to set that up now. So when it comes to using Spark, this is what comes into effect when you're creating a new episode. So if I go to create new episode, and I've uploaded some dummy files and previous MP3 files already. So I'm going to use this one here because this is actually an interview podcast. So it's got multiple speakers, so we can show exactly what that looks like. Now you can see here, you've got generate transcript and AI episode assets. So you need to have an audio file added to your episode before we can do that. Once you've got the file done, you can go ahead and generate. Now this opens up a little sidebar where you can add some prompts or more information. So let's say you have a guest that has an unusual surname, or you've got a topic that you're talking about that has an unusual, name or category, etc. You can put some prompts in here and maybe some guidelines as make the transcript or the show notes, etc., conversational, more towards the guest as opposed to the speakers, that kind of stuff. Little prompts here. Again, this is on a per episode basis, and you can tweak it, if it's not great. And then select total speakers. Now, because this is an interview show, I'm going to select 2 speakers here and then generate the transcript and the AI content. Now, depending on how long your audio file is, that will dictate how long Spark takes to generate everything. Because we're looking at the file, and obviously we're looking at how many speakers is there, is it all in English? Is there some different languages, etc.? Spark is primarily English language. If you do have another language, so French, German, Spanish, etc., because it's AI, we will try and translate that, but it's not guaranteed for the results because it is primarily English language setup. Okay, but you can see here, it's generating a transcript. It's coming up with some episode title suggestions, as well as an introduction summary. It's coming up with some show note suggestions, key takeaways, as well as timestamps for chapters. So if you wanted to use chapters in your episode, we'll suggest chapters and timestamps for that based on the audio file. We'll also suggest ad marker suggestions. So we'll look at the file and see, is there a natural pause? Is there an area where the topic changed? Is there an area where speaker change, etc.? And we'll make some suggestions for you based on that audio file. If there's any URLs or companies mentioned in the audio file, we'll try and find them and add them to the suggestions as well, so you can use them. We also then come up with an SEO description and SEO keywords option. So if you use the free Captivate site, for example, or you use the Captivate Sync WordPress plugin, we will come up with some SEO suggestions for those, as well as an SEO summary, which you can then sort of copy and paste over to YouTube if you have a video version of the podcast. Now you can see here, so come up with some episode titles. This episode was one from one of my other podcasts. So the guest is Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting. Awesome guy, love Dave. So it's given me some episode titles based on the topics that we've talked about in the audio file that we have transcribed. So you can see here, it's giving some cool ones. Dave Jackson on podcasting success and life lessons. Or maybe I want to do 5 random questions, because that's the name of the podcast, with podcasting legend Dave Jackson. That's a nice one from a grab attention point of view, because it's got the show name in there, and it's also got who's in there, and you've got sort of keywords like podcasting, Dave Jackson, that kind of stuff. So you can sort of go through these and choose one of these and just add to your episode. If you're not quite happy with these suggestions in the first run, as I mentioned, we only charge you for the transcription. transcription. All other AI assets, all other assets are free because we pull them from the transcript. So if you do need to regenerate anything on episode titles or summary, etc., you can do that. You won't be charged. Okay. So let's say I'm not quite keen on these titles. So let's just regenerate the title suggestions. So you can see here it's leaving all the other features and just generating the titles. So now it's giving me some more suggestions. So I'm going to go, and this talks more to the episode and some of the topics in the episodes. So I'm going to go with from bathtubs to private jets, Dave Jackson's journey. So add to episode, and you can see that appears in the episode title option down here. The summary intro is more like if you want to give a sort of intro to the episode without your typical kind of show notes, you can use this here and add that to your show notes. This is also really good if you want to just copy paste this and use it for your YouTube video or a blog post. Maybe you have a blog post that you have on your own site that you want to maybe use this for alongside your own blog content and show note details. So I'm not going to use this one for the intro for it at the moment. And now we've got the episode show note suggestions. So this is where it will give me the show note ideas. Now, the way that Spark works, now and again, we might not be able to generate the show notes of, if there's a lot of generation at the time. So if that's the case, just hit regenerate and we'll go through that and bring the show note details up. Okay, so now you can see here, got suggestion 1. So it's got me as it's in the third person again. It's with, my name, the guest name, etc. And it tells me a bit about the episode and some of the things you can expect to hear in the episode. But we'll give you 3 options, okay? And they kind of change up based on what kind of information you want to share. Maybe you want to give really big breakdowns of the episode itself. Maybe you want to feature on some of the tales that Dave tells. So we'll give you 3 suggestions, and you can choose which one you want to use. So I'm going to use this one down here and just add that to show notes, and that adds it to my episode show notes. Coming down, you've got takeaways. So we've got Speaker A. That's just because I've not edited any of the transcript yet. That's why Speaker A appeared as opposed to my name and Dave's name. Okay. But you can see here, you've got takeaways here. And once you add them to the show notes, you can also edit that Speaker A to, Dave's name, for example, if that is indeed the Dave that was speaking. So you can add the takeaways if you wish to add that, and that will add some bullet points. Then you've got the chapter suggestions. So as I mentioned, this will look at the audio, look at where maybe topics have changed, where speakers have talked about a certain topic and then move to a new one. And then that'll create or make suggestions for chapters to use for the audio. So I'm going to add this as well because that's some good chapter breakdowns here. And there's a lot of podcast apps. Most podcast apps now do support the chapters feature. It's a great way to really make the episode interactive for your listeners. Now, as I mentioned here, I've got 2 ad marker suggestions, and we'll give you a bit of context as to why we suggested these ad marker places. So, for example, on the 1923 timestamp, it's a transition from talking about a hotel experience to a statement which creates a natural pause for an ad. For the 1536 suggestion. It's shifting from a positive sentiment about the hotel to a thought suggests a change in topic suitable for an ad break. So I can do that, or again, I can regenerate, and that will keep all my previous generations and then just regenerate the ad break suggestion. So if I go down to that, you can see here it's changed it up a little bit with different context. So I'm going to go for this one here because it goes from a lighthearted topic about family to a work experience. So it's a great one. It's a nice way to, move from one segment to another, but place an ad right smack in the middle of that for a mid-roll. I mentioned here, you've got links referenced in this episode. So that's great. I can add names to my show notes. And then companies mentioned in this episode. That's great. I can add these too. And then you've got the search engine title. It's the same one that you had earlier. Basically, it's normally the episode title which you choose here because we'll try give you a really punchy title that's great for SEO, but also great for attracting listeners and piquing their interest when looking on podcast apps. So we'll then give you a search engine meta description. So you can see here, join host Danny Brown, who's interviews podcasting expert Dave Jackson, and a fun episode of 5 Random Questions, exploring memories, travel, and more. So that's a good SEO description because it's got the show name, it's got the podcasting expert Dave Jackson, so that's in there too. And it's got a little bit of details about the episode topics. So that's cool. I'm going to add that. And as you see here, keywords, we'll pull some keywords together based on the episode, which you can then copy and paste and drop that over to your YouTube channel if you have a video version of the episode and you want to use them for tags, etc. Okay, so I'm happy with all the notes and the titles, but what I want to do now is view the transcript. So you can see here, Speaker A and Speaker B, I've not put any names in here, so that's fine. I know that on this podcast, I have a cold intro, so I know for a fact that Dave is going to be Speaker A, and I know because of that, I'm going to be Speaker B. So I can just edit that here and just enter, and we're good. So now you can see that Dave and Danny are now the speakers and have been named properly for the transcript, and that will appear on transcripts on the Captivate site, on Captivate Sync, the WordPress plugin, podcast apps that support transcript, etc., with the proper name of the speaker and the relevant timestamps, which you can see here for that transcript. And then what you can do, you can just scroll through, and what I tend to do is I'll take maybe 10, 15 minutes on each episode and just really go scrolling through the transcript, make sure it's accurate. Transcripts are primarily for the hard of hearing and deaf community, but they can be used, obviously, they've got some SEO value. And if you're in a noisy environment, so on a subway train, for example, and you want to read along with the episode, but it's primarily for the hard of hearing and deaf community. So you want to make sure it's as accurate as possible and relevant to the episode audio. Because there's nothing worse than having AI-generated transcripts, not correcting anything, and then you can have some really weird words, names, descriptions, etc., that can be confusing. So if you're trying to make your episode accessible, just take a little bit of time and make sure you tidy it up and check the spelling, etc., they're all good. But once you've gone through that and you've checked all that, etc., you just save transcript. The transcript will save, the names will save, etc., and now you can start to go through your episode. So you can see here, there's the show notes that I've put in here. So I'm going to just tidy this up a little bit. So I'll put in little breaks, paragraphs, etc. So just make it a little bit more easy to read on website, podcast apps, etc. Okay, so we've got the show notes. We've got the takeaways. And I'm going to change that to Dave. So there we go. And then we've got the links referenced and the companies mentioned. So again, you just go through the show notes, just like give it a little tidy up, make sure all the paragraph spacing's there, all good to go. If your episode, so because this is a dummy show, I haven't put any episode numbers in, but obviously if it's an episode, if this is episode 2 would automatically be there. So let's just do that anyway. So episode 2, there we go. Now you can see here, dynamic content and ads. It's added my placement here suggestions based on the AI assets or the AI generation, and it's given me where I can put the position of the dynamic ads, dynamic inserts. So I'm going to remove the 1131 and leave in the 2357 that I mentioned before, and then I can choose from my content library which ad I want to do. So let's just do that, and then add the tag for summer promo. Just makes it easier to update, switch down the line. Okay, so there you go. So that's great. So Spark has placed that ad marker in for me. And I can also still add my own manual timestamps. So if I know that I want to put one in at 12 minutes, for example, I can add one there at 12 minutes, and that will complement the one that Spark generated for us. Okay, you've got the chapters here. So you can see here you've got all the chapters with the relevant timestamps, the name, questions, etc. And if you wish, you can also upload chapter images. So it makes it really, visual on the podcast apps that support the chapter images, as well as external links. So I might want to link out today's website here, for example, because this is my sponsor message, for argument's sake. I might want to link out here to the sponsor, all that kind of stuff. So you can use the links to, send that out to the actual URLs for these websites. And then it's just basically going through and, completing your episode as normal, making sure that you've got your title there. I've got the SEO description that Spark created for me. And then I'll just give the episode name, URL, etc. Okay, and then just continue to complete and finish your episode as normal. So let's just publish episode. And you can see here that's processing the dynamic content I added. But that's it, your episode's done. And including all the show notes, all the cool SEO stuff, all the transcript, etc. for that episode. And once that's live, I'll open up I think I set up a Captivate website for this podcast. I did actually. So I'll open that up and show you what that looks like on the front end from the transcript point of view and the show notes point of view, etc. So just let that process through for us. And once that's done, let's just have a quick look at the website now, actually, see if that's through. Not yet, so it's not processed. No worries. So what I'm going to do, while that's processing, I'm just going to jump over to another podcast just to quickly show you what all that looks like on the front end. So my podcast, here we go. So let's go to the one I mentioned. So you can see here, episodes, let's go to the last guest one. So if I look here, you can see here, I've got my episode title, for example. Okay. I've got my transcript is already in there. So if I look at the assets, I've got my titles, my summary intro, my transcript, etc. So what that looks like on the front end, while we're waiting for the other one to process. Let's just go have a look at that. And go to share this tab instead. So you can see here, if I scroll down, it's got the transcript down the bottom here. So this is what your transcript looks like. So you can see it's got the name, the timestamp for the relevant section. And if you click that timestamp, that will take you
Hi, and welcome to 5 Random Questions
on the podcast player. So it's just a nice way, obviously, to make the transcript follow along with the audio. And again, this is why it's key to just tidy up the transcript and make sure it's proper and relevant to the actual episode that you've created. So if I go back and let's go back here and let's just see how this podcast is doing, so I can show you exactly the one that we created for us. Okay, it looks like it may be, oh, there we go. So sometimes because we're processing a lot of dynamic content on a daily basis and an hourly basis, if we're getting a lot of processing, getting done at the same time. Interesting. Okay, so not bringing up my site. Did I get the site enabled? This is the cool thing we do in live streams. Let's have a look at this. All right, so I'm going to share this tab. We'll open up the player for now. So this is just the Captivate player. It's not the actual website. But you can see here, if I open up the show notes, you can see that all the show notes are there. The takeaways that were mentioned, the links referenced in the episode, the companies mentioned in the episode. So that's all there. If I go to the transcript, you'll see that the transcript is also there with the timestamps, the names, etc. So it's all good there. And then once the website logs goes in, we can have a look at that. But as you can see, that's really, a simple way to get your episode created with AI. Now, there are a couple of other cool features. So I'm going to show you that now, so we can, get these for you in the same live stream. And this comes up when it comes to episode planning. So with Captivate, we want to help you come up with episode ideas and make it easy for you and your team to work together to, plan out a content plan and what kind of episode topics you want to speak about, guests, etc. So with episode planning, episode idea. With episode planning, because I haven't used that feature yet on this demo show, with episode planning, you can use our AI tool to suggest new episodes for you. And what we'll do is we'll look at the last 30 days of your analytics. So I might actually hop over to that previous podcast and show you exactly what that looks like, because we don't really have analytics for this podcast, etc. But let's just go through this one and show you how to do it. So you can have our AI tool suggest new episodes, and we will look at the last 30 days of your analytics to see which episodes are getting the most traction, which titles, etc. We'll also look online and check out trending topics on your podcast niche or your topic and make that a suggestion. You've also got create from prompt or manually add new. So let's go to suggest new for now. So this is AI creating episode ideas for you, and we'll come up with 3 ideas for your podcast based on previously published episodes and analytics around that these episodes. With this being a newer podcast, it could be tougher because I've not had any guests on anything. So this is why, like I say, I'll jump over to one of my other podcasts and show you exactly what that looks like. But as you can see, this has come up with 3 episode ideas for this podcast. So you can do the art of small talk, navigating social dynamics, the humor in everyday life, etc. That's just a preview. You can go and look at each one using the little eye icon here. So for this one example, the art of small talk, mastering everyday conversations. We've given you talking points about the episode, and we've come up with some guest suggestions based on the episode and the topic of your podcast. So we've got Deborah Fine, who's a speaker and an author of The Fine Art of Small Talk. Here's where you can connect and contact Deborah to invite her on your podcast. And here are some questions that we suggest you ask her based on your podcast, the topics, her expertise, etc., what she normally speaks about on podcast guest appearances. You've also got Daniel Pink. So again, why we've suggested Daniel, where you can connect with him, and questions to ask Daniel, or suggested questions. You can also look at what else have we got? Navigating social dynamics from awkward moments to connection. So again, we'll give you talking points as well as guest suggestions, how to contact them, and potential guest questions for them if they want to appear. And, same again. So we'll always make 2 suggestions for you. And then you can always edit the suggestion here and update guests or contact details, etc., if you've got a more direct way to do that. So that's a way to use Spark when you have episodes and you want us to create episode ideas for you. You can also create an episode idea from a prompt. So from a prompt, you can choose a topic. So let's say I want to choose a topic about video podcasting. Okay. And talking points, I want to talk about video versus audio. Equipment. Sorry, I'm typing one-handed here, so we're all a bit slow. So talking points, video versus audio, equipment, and how to promote. Let's just do something like that, something really straightforward. So that's the topic. Now, obviously, you can add a bit more details in the topic suggestion here. You've got up to 128 characters. So basically, it's just saying what you would like this episode to be about and some of the talking points. Do you want to have guests suggested to you? I'm going to say yes. So let's just generate the episode ideas for that one. So what this will do, again, this will look at the topics that you've chosen here, the little blurb that you've added as a prompt to choose which episode ideas you want to talk about, and then the episode idea itself. So you can see here the rise of vlogging, how video is changing podcasting. You got some great talking points here, guest suggestions. So you got Pat Flynn and some of the questions you want to ask Pat maybe. You've also got Jessica Stansbury, who's a video marketing strategist and creator of the Video for Creatives course. So that's a perfect guest. So again, you've got the contact details and some of the questions you might want to ask Jessica. You can also add, so all the stuff at the top here, this is private to you and your team. So if you've got a team, you can invite team members to come in, add notes themselves, maybe add some questions and additional questions you would like to ask the guest, and other topics to include in the episode. All the top line here is all for your team. The episode details would be your show note information area. So if you create an episode idea and you put information here, so you might want to copy some of this down here, or you might just want to add some of your own episode details. So today we're going to be talking about video podcast and its role in podcasting in general. Does it impact audio? All that kind of stuff. Anything that you add here, once you convert an episode idea into an actual episode, we'll carry over all the information that you put in this episode idea section to your show notes, ready to be added to your Spark AI stuff. If you've already got guests, you can choose a guest here. I don't have any guests, obviously, but you could assign guest bookings to this episode idea, as well as any research links that you might have added when you use the Captivate browser add-on, and you can pull links into your episode show notes, which we covered in the second live stream, I think, when it came to creating your episode. So you can update your episode idea here, and now you've got the new episode idea again. And then the last one is manually add new. It's exactly kind of the same as the prompt one, except you don't have the prompt, but you would just add your own idea title, your production notes, and episode details here. But because this is about Spark AI, obviously we're not going to look at that. Okay, and that's the main features of Spark. Now, as I mentioned, it's really easy to add in additional hours. So if you go to your my account and look at your Spark AI, if you do need to add more hours, just come here and you can either renew your recurring bundles or just purchase one-off top-ups. And the rollover, and as mentioned, it's at account level, so you can enable it on as many or as few podcasts as you wish. And then you would choose your team members, and if they have access to creating episodes, do you also want to give them, Spark access to? So really easy to use, and it's a really cool feature. That the one, like the episode planning, is something that I use a lot on the interview show that I have, because it is really good at coming up with some ideas for previous topics that were really successful and well received by listeners, and coming up with some new guests and new topics and new questions to kind of keep you in a nice forward-thinking production flow and content planning. So I'm going to stop the share. I don't think there's anything that I forgot there. Let me just have a look at my settings. Yeah, I think covered it. Yeah, we're all good there. So I'm going to stop sharing for now and jump back over here, and let me put myself back on the screen. Okay, so I'm just going to go up again and just have a look at the questions that may have popped in. Let's have a look. I'm Scottish. I live in Canada. I've been in Canada since 2006, so almost 20 years. So maybe the Scottish is a little bit softer, but yeah, I am Scottish. All right, so let's get into some questions then. I think you said transcripts are $1 per hour. Is that per 1 hour recorded? Yeah, so basically it's 1 hour of transcription. So if you've got multiple voices, that's all included in the 1 hour. I know some charge by individual voices. We just transcribe the audio file. So if your audio file is 37 minutes long, we will transcribe 37 minutes. We won't transcribe 37 minutes of speaker A, then 37 minutes of speaker B, and then 37 minutes of speaker C. It's all the one cost. So you're good that side. Good question though. Is it possible to demo the transcript on a piece of raw material? It's not, because unfortunately, you can't. Let me just get this right though. So have you got an audio file outside of Captivate that you want to demo the transcript that way? If so, it wouldn't be. The transcript is purely internal to Captivate. You can upload your own transcript if you wish, if that's what you're thinking. But then you wouldn't get access to the rest of the AI assets because they're generated from the transcription that Captivate provides for you. So as I mentioned, that's the reason we only charge for the transcript. That's a hard cost that we take. That's a hard cost that we put back out, so to speak. All the rest is covered by us. But because we're transcribing the audio file, we only provide the rest of the AI assets from the Captivate transcript as opposed to one that's uploaded. So does Spark generate a transcript for your audio, or can you give prompts? So the transcript is from your audio file. So you would upload your audio file to your episode. So when you're creating the episode, that's when you use Spark. Once that audio file has been attached to the episode, we will then, once you click that generate transcript and AI assets button, we'll go through the file, look at how many speakers there are, all that good stuff that you saw. And then we'll generate the transcript and the rest of the AI assets. So it is purely from the audio. You wouldn't give a prompt to say, hey, give me an idea. I mean, you could get a prompt if you go to the episode planning, as I showed you just at the end there. So I'm guessing this question might have come in before that. So you can go to the episode planning and choose prompts from that side and give you episode ideas before you upload your audio file to be transcribed, etc. So that makes sense? Nikki, if you're importing from Alitu, where do you suggest the show notes and transcripts are best created? So if you're using Alitu, kind of like the script as well, if you want to use the Captivate stuff, you would edit your file in Alitu or record it if you use it for recording, same with the script, and then import the file into Captivate without any transcripts, etc., and let Captivate Spark do all that good stuff for you. and then that would obviously give you the show notes and the transcript and all that for you for the episode. If you prefer to use Alitu, I can't remember if they got transcript. I think they have. Alitu or Descript, you can import the audio file in with the transcript attached to that, and that will be added to your episode file under the transcript section. But you won't get the title, suggestions, the summaries, the takeaways, the ad markers, all that cool stuff, because that's generated by the Captivate AI tool as opposed to an external one. So I hope that makes sense, Nikki. You're very welcome, and have a good delivery. Hope safe driving or travels if you're hopping out on journeys. The links feature in the episode settings. Which one's that, Rob? Is that the links feature for the AI or the URL for the actual episode itself, where you can add your URL on the episode? Let me know, and I'll jump back in and share that screen for you. Let's have a look. Regarding the guest suggestions with contact info, no. So this is just public information that's available. So, we don't share any private information or details or anything. It's all public information that's available on either the guest websites, their social profiles, or the LinkedIn profiles, whatever they've got and shared and made public on the internet. We'll just drag that in. So that's why you'll see, X or maybe Threads or LinkedIn or a website link or something. If they have their email publicly available on a contact page, we'll look to pull that into. But no, we're not pulling in from the Captivate database. That's all kinds of privacy weirdness going on there. So no, we wouldn't do that. So that's where you'd actually get that information. But that was a really good question. I enjoyed a good one. But yeah, Rob, if you still will, let me just share my screen, and I think the links featured in episode settings is probably the links URL for the episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to go back to share screen and just do this now for you. So share screen. And if this is the wrong one, just let me know, and we can definitely go through that. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing because I didn't check out the links connected to the show notes. Yeah. So the links connected to the show notes are all, so I'm going to share the screen anyway. So let's do that right now. So the links connected to the show notes are all pulled from the episode audio file. So if I go back to the one that we created here, so this one with Dave, for example. So in this episode, Dave talked about various companies, and he talked about, you can find more about Dave at schoolofpodcasting.com, for example. And in the audio outro, I think I mentioned the website for this podcast, not Chit Chat, for the other podcast. This is the audio pulled from. If you want to listen to previous episodes, all that kind of stuff. So if someone says, you can check them out at schoolofpodcasting.com, or you can check out, our podcast hosting at captivate.fm. Anytime someone says a URL or a domain name like that within the episode audio file, we'll recognize that as a domain. So we will then add these or suggest them as links. So if we go down here, I'm scrolling way past it. My bad. It's in the show notes. So there you go. So anytime that appears, let's just expand that right in area. We will mention that and link out to these URLs in the show notes. So that's where these links come from. And it goes back to the companies as well. So Dave mentioned, for example, find me at School of Podcasting over at schoolofpodcasting.com. So because you mentioned the name and the URL, we've mentioned the name and the URL here for the show note suggestions. So I think that's what you're on about, but that's basically where we pull it from. If it's mentioned in the episode details and the audio, we will pull it from there. I think that's good. So I think I'm going to go through and just make sure we pulled all the questions. As I mentioned, we've still got about roughly 10 minutes before we start wrapping up. So if you have any questions about the AI tool, how it's used, how you can use it as a Captivate user, enable it, some of the cool stuff you can do with it, drop it in the questions, or just drop it below in the comments even, and put question before it, and we'll pick that up before we start wrapping up. I'm just going to make sure that I haven't missed any questions while I'm looking at that. So the one, we covered that one. So that's all good. No worries. So I think we're all good there. So next week, actually, let me just check something. So while we're just waiting to see if there's any more questions coming in, I'm just going to bring up next week what that looks like. So let's have a look. We're on the Spark one. So next week is awesome. This is one that everybody has been asking for when it's coming out. So next week we're going to be looking at the Amy platform. Amy is our in-house dynamic insertion tool. So if you want to insert your own, ads, sponsor messages, trailer swaps with other podcasts, etc., this is where you can add your own pre-rolls before the episode starts, mid-rolls in the episode itself, and then post-rolls at the end of the episode. But we also have been, doing it the Captivate way. We also have some other cool features that you can do with attribution links, tracking the call to action, tracking that dynamic content. So that'll be next week's one. Questions about guest suggestions. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Yep, perfect. Oh, no, we got that one. I did cover that one, Rob. But thanks for reminding me. So I was thinking, did I miss one? But yeah, I got that one earlier. So thanks for reminding me. No worries. So next week it's all about Amy and the dynamic content and how we can easily add pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll content to your episodes to keep it real up to date. It's really cool in making sure that you've got the most up-to-date information, features, promos, etc. for your listeners, as well as how to swap it out. And if you want to run sponsors 1 month and then add new ones the next month, etc. So the Amy is a really cool feature, and that's available on all plans, etc. So I think we're good. I'm going to start wrapping up a little bit early in case, unless we have any more questions, give a couple more minutes. But yeah, if you're a Captivate user, you may be using Amy at the moment. Next week, I'll go through all that one. If you're not a Captivate user, but you're kind of curious what features we have and you're dropping in the live streams and comments on that, hopefully we'll see you here next week. It'll be a good one with the dynamic content as we move forward to the second half of the live stream series. So I'm going to start wrapping up, I think. I'll give a couple more minutes, but you're very welcome, Rob. Thanks for popping over and always bringing the good questions. So thanks for everyone for popping in. I'm just going to make sure one last time that I've not missed any questions. And then I think we'll be good to go. So as I mentioned, next week, it's all about dynamic content. You're very welcome, Tisha. Thank you. You're very welcome. Sorry, you popped up there as I was saying. You're very welcome, Tisha. I appreciate that. I'm glad they're helping you. It's one of the reasons we're doing these weekly live streams. We know that Captivate, as great as our features are, and I'm very biased, obviously, but as great as features are, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming in how to use this in conjunction with this other tool, etc. So this is why we're doing this, to make sure you're getting the most out of Captivate. But yeah, same time next week. Right through to August 27, we'll be here every week answering your questions, going through each feature of the dashboard. So until then, have a great rest of Wednesday, wherever you are. Obviously, I know you mentioned earlier, where everybody is. I hope you've got a great upcoming weekend. The weather's kind to you, and you get some nice downtime, relaxation time, and have some great fun creating new episodes. And I'm going to end that here. So have a great time. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Keep podcasting.